Hey, what's going on guys? John the Video Guy here, and today we're going to take a look at how to edit audio in Premiere Pro and some of the best features to use while you're audio editing in your project. So let's dive in. Alright, so I have a timeline here. I have two audio clips I imported and placed in a sequence. Usually the first thing I do when I have audio is I'll normalize the audio peak value. So what I'll do is I'll marquee select the clips in my timeline, I'll left click, go to audio gain, and what you can do, you have a few different choices, but what's usually best and what has worked out for me when I edit audio is I'll choose the normalize all peaks value. That way I can set the value that the audio will peak at. So usually I type in -6. You'll notice as I scrub back through the audio,
neonatal tetanus,
it is peaking at -6. Or if
technology,
I undo that,
neonatal tetanus,
you'll notice it was a lot higher. Alright, so next we're going to get into how to make the audio sound its best inside Premiere Pro. And there's a few different features that you can use, but I'll go over a few of my favorites. The first thing I do is I add a parametric equalizer to either the clips or the whole audio track. Before we begin, there's two ways you can apply effects to clips. You can either apply audio effects to the clips themselves in the timeline, or you can apply audio effects to the whole entire track that essentially affects each audio clip in the timeline. I'll show you how to add an audio effect to a clip first. So in the effects panel, what you can do is type in Parametric EQ, drag and drop it on the clip. You'll notice in the effects controls, it'll add it to that clip. But say if you wanted parametric EQ to all of the clips on the track, what you can do instead, we'll delete this and go into Audio Track Mixer. If you can't see this, you can always go up to Window and then find it there. Alright, so you'll notice that each track is displayed here, and what you'll have to do is go to the top left, hit the untwirl button, and these are different sections that you can add different effects to. So for example, we want to add effects to audio 1 because that's where all of our audio clips are. So what to do here is go to the drop down section and then you can choose your effect. So in this case we want to add parametric equalizer. And then to edit the effect, double click on it.
Technology, neonatal.
What I like to do first is add a high pass filter to get rid of some of the rumbling lows. So to do that, click the HP button and then you can drag this to around probably 100.
Medical laboratory.
You'll notice how it took off some of the lows. The next thing I'll do, especially for voiceovers, is to boost the highs a little bit. So what I'll do first is select 4, I'll drag this up, and then I'll narrow the width of it a little bit.
Tetanus, medical laboratory
what you can do is play it and have it on loop, that way you can listen to it. You notice this kind of brings up the highs and makes the audio a little bit crisper. You can also round it out a little bit, add a little bit more highs. I do this a lot in audio voiceovers because it brings out the crispness of the voice. Otherwise it sounds like someone is covering their mouth a little bit, it's more compressed, and this is a good way to bring it out a little bit more. Now that we're done with parametric equalizer, you can click the X button. The next thing I usually add is a dynamics effect. Dynamics has a lot of different effects built into it, including a compressor and a limiter that I'll use. So to activate one of these effects, click the check mark. So I'm going to click compressor. Then you can increase the ratio and then the volume makeup that you will need to adjust after it's being compressed. Compressor is good in certain scenarios. You don't want to use it all the time. But say if you have a lot of lows in voiceovers that you want to bring up, this is a quick and efficient way to bring up low sounds without trying to adjust the lows, and add keyframes and go back and try to adjust when it's not as high as the other volume peaks. So what I usually do for highly compressed, for audio that needs to be highly compressed, I'll make the ratio 3, and usually the makeup is 9.
Laboratory technology, neonatal tetanus, medical laboratory tech.
You'll notice how highly compressed that sounds. For most of the time, I'll usually do a ratio of 2 and then 6 decibels
tetanus,
for the makeup.
Medical laboratory technology, neonatal tetanus, medical laboratory technology.
So you notice the difference there. Adding the compressor really brings up the lows. So on top of this, what you'll notice is as soon as I added the compressor, it ignored the normalization that we did earlier. So next, what you can do is add a limiter. And what this does, this adds back in that normalization that we did earlier. That way it doesn't go above -6. So click the check mark.
Technology,
type in
neonatal
-6.
tetanus, medical laboratory.
You'll notice that it is below or at -6. So that's how you add back in the normalization. All right, moving on. I don't have a good example of it, but if you have audio clips that need denoise or noise reduction, you can always use the built-in denoise effect. And once again, say if it's a separate clip, you can just add it to a clip by typing it into the effects, denoise, dragging and dropping it, going to effects controls. And what I like to do here is usually in most cases, I'll check that, the processing focus. And usually I don't usually go above 20% unless it's really bad. Usually between 10 and 20 is pretty good. What you can do is click the checkbox for output noise only. And that'll show you what you are actually taking out of the audio, which is really nice. That way you can adjust it from there and see the improvement or if it needs some work. So we'll get rid of that. These clips specifically don't have noise, but it's always good to point that out if you have trouble. Another cool effect that I found out about, I Googled how to get rid of reverb or echoes. And what I found is under noise and cancellation, noise reduction and restoration, there's a de-reverb effect. And this is highly effective that I found. So similar to denoise, do the mid frequencies, and I won't go over 60,
neonatal
but somewhere
tetanus,
in there.
Medical laboratory technology, neonatal tetanus, medical laboratory.
So you can kind of see the difference there. But once again, this audio doesn't really have a lot of echo, so feel free to play with it on your clips. You'll probably notice a huge difference. Let's talk about de-humming. So sometimes there's a rumble or say if an AC or a furnace is on and that's in the background or something that's really consistent. What you can do is go to noise reduction and go de-hummer. And there's different frequencies that you can choose from. So you'll just have to mess around and see which frequency the hum is and then take it out accordingly. What you'll notice is that this bar takes it out more, takes it out less. The one thing I wanted to touch on in the audio track mixer is the order matters in the way that you set up the effects. So say if you add dynamics before parametric EQ, it's essentially processing that and then adding parametric EQ. So you'll notice the difference here. If I make dynamics first and parametric EQ second,
neonatal tetanus, medical laboratory.
it doesn't have, you'll notice the highs are being processed after that limiter. Therefore, the audio is higher. It's passing the -6 and it's compressing it, then adding the limiter and then adding parametric EQ. So the order in which that you set it up is does take in account. All right, and that's it for audio processing and editing. So I hope you guys found this useful. Feel free to comment and like the video below. Subscribe to this channel to see more videos like this. Helpful tips. I hope this helps someone out there. If not, well, let me know. either way, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.